Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be talking about specifically what it means to have Jupiter in Libra or Jupiter in your 7th house. My name is Brandon, and this is a part of a much larger video series I am doing where I'm going through every single planet in every single house and sign. So I have a playlist down below of all the videos that I've done prior to this video, so everything between Aries and Virgo, and the 1st and the 6th house is listed in that playlist down below. Also down below, I'm going to be putting the timestamps for when I talk about what in this video, because I'm going to be going through both Jupiter in Libra and Jupiter in the 7th house, because I know some of you may have Jupiter in Libra, but you may not have Jupiter in the 7th house, and vice versa. So feel free to check those out down below to kind of go to whatever portion is specific to you. And then in addition to that, we're going to be talking about Jupiter overall within astrology and what it kind of represents prior to any of those things. So that's what this video is about. I'm excited to get into it. This Libra week has been super fun. There's so many different lessons around Libra that I think are so crucially important. And we're going to definitely be going into them in this one in particular, because Jupiter is all about the lessons. It's all about the meaning and the purpose and the answers. Yeah, so that's really all it is. And obviously, as you guys know, this is YouTube, so if you guys are interested and you like my content, please like, comment, share, subscribe, engage with it. Put some stuff down there to help me out. This is what I do for a full-time, and I really enjoy it, and it means the world to me. Any and all support is just awesome. And if you guys are interested in anything with me, all my offerings are down below. So, without further ado, let's go right into what Jupiter means within astrology. Okay, so Jupiter within astrology. Jupiter in astrology has a very positive connotation to it. It's very faith-based. It's very meaning-based, purpose-based. It has a lot of things relative to all things faith, and it rules things related to foreign language, foreign cultures, culture in general, law, legality, studies that are higher consciousness, philosophy, religion, all the things that are kind of outside of our mind that we give meaning to, right? Meaning to why we're chasing them, why we're pursuing them, why we are studying them, those sorts of things. And it does involve culture. It also is the larger benefic, so there's going to be a lot of beneficial things relative to this planet. Jupiter's placement by house and sign is going to have a lot of different layers to this as well. So it's important to know what your Jupiter sign is. For the sake of this video, this Jupiter is in Libra. If you have your Jupiter in any other sign prior to Libra, those videos are down below in that playlist. And of course, if you have Jupiter in any sign after Libra, those videos will be coming out in that subsequent order. So make sure to stay tuned for those. But yeah, there's so many different things within Jupiter. It rules how we prescribe our meaning, how we find meaning, how we go about that process, and what we believe in, how we follow our faith, how we follow our purpose, how we find purpose, how we find the meaning behind all of this craziness that we live in this world. And Jupiter in Libra is very different than the previous Jupiter that we had done, which is Jupiter in Virgo. And there's so many different stories around Jupiter as it relates to meaning and purpose. Jupiter rules the signs of Sagittarius in Pisces, and then is considered to be exalted in the sign of Cancer. So therefore, the signs opposite those three signs are going to be more difficult. So Jupiter in a Jupiter sign is doing quite well. Jupiter in the sign opposite of that, which is going to be Mercury, is not going to do that well. So Jupiter in Gemini and Virgo are considered to be debilitated, and then Jupiter opposite the sign of its exaltation, which would be Capricorn, would be considered to be fallen, which is where it's going to struggle a little bit more. So luckily, Jupiter in Libra is none of those in that regard, meaning that there's not a lot of large polarization around Jupiter lessons in this particular video. But as we get to the Jupiter in the houses, that is where we can kind of get a little bit more layers into that. But all of that aside, let's go into specifically what it means to have your Jupiter in Libra. Okay, so Jupiter in Libra has a very abundant opportunity when it comes to relationships. It is a very positive indicator of marriage partnerships, of foreign marriage partner, of just benefiting a lot from their relationships, from specifically who they marry, but also just their clients, and just relational things in general. This is also similar to Jupiter in the 7th house for different reasons, but there is something to be said about the benefit and the things that they can learn from another person. Venus in Libra has the same sort of quality, except this is where Venus rules Libra, so it's going to have a little bit more of a different quality there in and of itself. But Jupiter in Libra, it's really about finding meaning in every single relationship. Every single person, every single aspect of themselves they can see within another person has so much meaning. And I've said this with all the Libra videos here, as well as all the 7th house portions. I'm just going to say it again because I think it's worth noting, is that the issue with Libra that I tend to see a lot of the time, even in, Saturn and Venus in Libra, which we'll get to later on this week, they have this kind of quality of always thinking about the other, which is great. It's positive, it's amazing, it's phenomenal. However, when they do that too much, they lose their own kind of answer or their own truth or their own kind of guidance, right, as it relates to all things Jupiter. So that's something we can see with Jupiter and Libra, where they're so focused on finding meaning in everyone else and finding answers to everyone else and finding philosophical kind of guidance from everyone else, which they will find organically. It's going to happen. But with Jupiter and Libra, they can have this kind of thing where they're always looking outside of themselves for that meaning, for that purpose. As opposed to really applying it, right? And that's obviously different based off of where Jupiter's at in the chart, aspects, all these different things. But Jupiter and Libra overall is going to find a lot of meaning just being around people. They're going to have a lot of opportunities. They're going to have a lot of options. They're going to have a lot of social energy. Libra is such a social sign that when we put Jupiter here, it allows so much expansion, so much opportunity, so much support from so many different people. Jupiter is going to give and give and give a lot of people and a lot of partnerships, a lot of people to partner with. That's the thing. With Jupiter and Libra, there can be this quality of so many people have so many different things to offer and so many different gifts and so many different lessons and so many different aspects that every single person has so much meaning. And therefore, Jupiter and Libra can almost be socially burnt out because they're finding so much meaning in every single relationship. But what's most important is for them to find the most meaningful relationship. And I'm not going to say the cheesy stuff about it being yourself, which is true, but like of being your partner and the meaning behind that choice. There is such a large lesson around who you choose as your marriage partner, and who you fall in love with and who you kind of pursue and the meaning behind that. Your relationship with people in general is going to be really karmic with Jupiter in the 7th house and Jupiter in Libra. They're both going to have this kind of karmic relationship, but they're going to be a lot of not just you learning from your partner, but you're also going to be teaching your partner. You're going to be teaching a lot of things. You're going to bring a lot of optimism to your relationships, to whomever you're connecting with, where you're going to really want to just bring some faith into something. There can also be some interesting things where you are really interested in foreign partners. This is something that we see once we start introducing Jupiter into this equation, especially if the North Node is involved as well. There can definitely be some foreign partnerships here, some kind of foreign lands and things of that nature. But Jupiter in Libra typically will have some sort of foreign cultured partner. They can be really prominent in law. There's actually someone I know who is a Sun Jupiter in Libra who is currently going through law school right now. I don't exactly remember what her specific rising sign is. That is actually incorrect. She has Jupiter with the North Node. I'm correcting myself, but she is a Libra Sun. So that kind of goes back to my Libra Sun video I did a while ago about just the law aspect of Jupiter and the law aspect of Libra as well. So when Jupiter and Libra are kind of prominent in a chart, we can definitely see some more legal guidance and working in those spaces. Ultimately, Jupiter and Libra wants to really just create harmony, create space, create sort of a understanding of another person, and find a way to bring meaning from their end of things, right? From the other person's end of things into yourself. And so there is a lot of lessons around that just in general within Jupiter and Libra. And there is a lot of meaning that they can give to a lot of different people. And there's a lot of things they can teach people. There's a lot of benefit they have in their relationships, in their personal relationships, professional relationships, client relationships, all those sorts of things. Marriage and family counselors can definitely have this quality here. And just in general, like preaching about relationships can also be a quality. If we see Jupiter kind of afflicted here in Libra, we can definitely see someone who is kind of preaching their toxic beliefs about relationships because they have been hurt in relationships. Or maybe if we see, like, for example, if we were to see like Jupiter with Uranus in Libra, which I don't know if that has technically, historically happened. I'm sure it has, but they're probably not. They would technically be alive now, I guess. But point being is there is something to be said about the if we had Jupiter Uranus connections, there's something about like kind of going against the grain with their kind of relational kind of opinions, right? So this could be someone who is has a lot of hot topics on regards to, or um, kind of unpopular opinions about relationships. That could something that could happen there, because Jupiter is all about preaching, and it's all about telling the truth and finding the meaning, and Libra, it's all about the relationships. And so they could also kind of give that meaning to a lot of other people. They could say, all these relationships have this type of meaning for me, and this is what relationships mean to me, and I want to teach that to others. I want to show that to others. I want to inspire people with my belief on what relationships are about, because relationships have a very important lesson in all of our lives. But with Jupiter and Libra, it kind of holds a little bit of a special place in their heart, where they are meant to really kind of learn a lot more through relationships than the average person, and therefore meant to kind of teach from that space, right? Teach from a social space, teach from a more kind of relationally connected space, right? When we talk about Libra, I've been saying this so many times in this series here, but we see, PR and HR, public relations and human relations, and lawyers and people that are really working with contracts and working on finding two other parties and negotiating something, right? That's really all of what all of those jobs kind of entail, to some degree, is some level of negotiation and an awareness of both parties. And Jupiter and Libra can definitely have a lot of qualities of that, where they are able to teach a lot of people about just the other side of the coin, right? They're really great at negotiating, at mediating, at kind of being in the middle. That's what Libra is about. It's about that kind of balancing act of between someone else and yourself. And so if they are put in the middle of a situation, they are ultimately, and this is true for any Libra placement, even Saturn, even Mars, they're meant to really learn how to balance that. And as we've been going through this Libra series, a lot of the lessons that have been coming up for people are relative to just learning the power of negotiation and the power of someone else, and the importance of seeing their side of the story and seeing their perspective, and how that's able to help you and help them, right? So Jupiter and Libra, Jupiter in the seventh house, they both have this quality of leaning towards others, towards that being the answer, towards that being what they want, that being where they want to go, who they want to be, and it's a lot about learning how to bring that into the self, synthesize that into the self, and find a way to really create some sort of answer and meaning and purpose for whomever you're talking to. Like, there's so much teaching in your relationships. It's really beautiful. I think Jupiter and Libra has such a powerful kind of connection to it, where it's so social and it's so powerful, and it's so religious as well, especially if we see Jupiter with the sun, which is more of like a Jupiter Leo kind of quality, at least as it relates to that. But if we see the Jupiter with the sun, this is like a preacher, right? I had a friend a very long time ago who, weirdly enough, it actually may be his birthday the day I'm recording this, which is wild. And from what I remember, he has a Sun Jupiter conjunction, and he was very, very deeply engrossed in religious subtext and a lot of religious sort of things, specifically one from his father, of course, because it's the sun, right? And so Jupiter and Libra, especially if it is connected to personal planets, there is, especially by conjunctions, there is like a really big purpose in bringing those two things together. And like I said, there can be this excess of social things here with the sun in, the Jupiter and Libra. There could be an excess of social obligations, or social kind of people or friends or people you want to connect to. So many different things that can kind of happen with a Jupiter Libra here, because like I said, every single partnership, every single relationship has some sense of importance, some sense of meaning, some sense of an answer to them. And I think that's where we see the Jupiter part, where there's so much meaning they can prescribe and give to literally anyone and anything in any partnership. And it's really about them finding the right relationship for them. That's really a big lesson for them in specific, to just know and learn how to really work with. And so Sorry, I'm looking right now just to double check. Yeah, he does have the Sun and Jupiter in Libra. So there is this kind of merging of those two things in those two spaces, and religiosity as a big role in that. So there is a really strong quality there that I think is really, really potent and powerful, of merging the connections between Jupiter and any other planet that might be in Libra as well. If you have anything around Libra, any other connection you may have, there's a lot of power there too. So just kind of its own sort of thing to kind of bring up in that regard. Now, yeah, I think that's really all I want to say about Jupiter and Libra. There's a lot more I could say. Obviously, it's important to see what Jupiter's in Libra is doing to the rest of your chart, and in that vein, really look at your Venus sign, because Jupiter and Libra, the Venus can really be anywhere. It can honestly be anywhere in the chart. It doesn't have to be anywhere close to Jupiter. But it's important to see what Venus is doing in this particular example, because Jupiter and Libra is really about the meaning, the purpose that you prescribe to relationships. And if Venus, the sign of what you value, what you really care about, your morals, your ethics, the people that you want around you, is in, a very difficult aspect, or a very strong aspect, or a very philosophical aspect. For example, if Jupiter's in alignment with Venus to some degree, you could see like this really, really different way that you prescribe meaning to relationships, right? If we have Jupiter and Libra, and then, we have Venus and Leo, there's a very different quality that's gonna bring versus, like a Venus and Capricorn. There's a very different meaning that you're gonna give to relationships that are gonna be filtered in the next step through your Venus sign. So your Jupiter sign is where we're focused on in this video, but then after that, it's really to look at your Venus specifically, because if you have your Jupiter in Libra, your Venus becomes the next important point of that. And so the thing about astrology that I think a lot of people tend to overcomplicate, is it's really not that difficult once you condense it. And this is speaking from a Jupiter Virgo perspective. If you want to know more about my Jupiter Virgo perspective, I added a whole video on it. That's the Jupiter Virgo video, so check that out if you're interested in other ways that the belief can kind of be a part of this. But the other thing about this, which with Jupiter in Libra, as well as just astrology in general, like I said, it's not as difficult when you start really just remembering what rules what, and you'll kind of see this overarching kind of pattern of kind of these same things that kind of keep coming up. Meaning that, like, let's say, like, I'm looking at this chart right now, and this is the person with Jupiter and Libra that I was just referring to, and, they have Jupiter and Libra, but they have Venus in Scorpio. Then where do they have their Mars? Their Mars is in Cancer. And then where's their moon? The moon's in Gemini. And then we ask where their moon ruler is at. It's in Gemini, and it's in Mercury and Scorpio. And then it brings back to the Mars in Cancer. So there's a lot of kind of conversations around this particular individual, where there's a lot of connections between Mars and the moon and Mercury, and kind of just going in that cycle a lot, right? And that's just simply because you just kind of go by, like, I guess, order of operations, if you will. And that's kind of my point in bringing up the whole Jupiter Libra story, is about connecting it to then the Venus sign, and then seeing what that Venus sign is doing, and then kind of going from there. And you'll end up kind of running in, if you keep doing that enough, you'll run into the same sort of cycle within a chart. And that can be done for anyone's chart, for that matter, right? And it's ultimately this technique that is specifically about, like, finding, like, the main dispositor is kind of what it's primarily called. But I bring all that up because there's so much meaning that we can give to astrology, we can give to these things, and we can give to literally every single relationship, every single person. And it's really about you deciding what your values are, what you care about, who you care about, and what type of love you want to give. And that's where Venus comes in, right? And that's where the next step in this particular video would go, which is looking at your Venus sign, looking at specifically what you value and honoring that, right? Astrology does not have to be complicated. Some people want to make it complicated, but it doesn't have to be, if you understand the simplicity of kind of looking at something and saying, okay, this, leads to this, and this leads to this, and kind of look at it from the outside view. It's really something that can be really a great gift. And I don't know why I'm going on this, like, big rant here, but it is what it is. So, I really hope that this helps you, Jupiter Libras, as well, because the thing is, too, Jupiter Libra definitely has more of a artistic flair too, and a relational flair. That's not really related to anything I was just saying, but they have a lot of artistic and kind of like artsy kind of vibes to them, and they kind of like to be in high fashion and those sorts of things that might be brought into those spaces just organically in a lot of ways. So there is a lot of value in that regard that I would really urge to kind of be brought up to a Jupiter Libra is like, what do you value? And do you value like vainness or vapidness, right? Or do you value real, authentic, deep, kind of like really grungy kind of stuff, right? What is your style, right? That's something I think I should have brought up way earlier in the Libra series, but what's your style? What do you really, really want to feel loved for, right? What do you want to feel loved for? And begin preaching that, teaching that, studying that, learning that, and find partners that do that. Because you're going to have so many opportunities with so many different partners to tell you different things about who you are, what they believe, and those sorts of things, and make sure that your beliefs align with your partners. That's a really, really important thing here. Yes, you can learn a lot from your partner. That's going to be evident, but also making sure that you can, in turn, have a partner that you feel is meaningful to you, and isn't just someone that's, oh, they're a shiny, cultural, like they're like an expat, and there's so many different crazy things about them, and they have so much they can teach me, right? That's true, but you also have to find your meaning in the relationship outside of that, outside of the big shiny relational things. So just think about that. There's some value there that I definitely urge you to kind of look into if you have your Jupiter in Libra. I hope this helps you. And then, like I said, if you have a Jupiter in Libra, please comment down below. I'd love to hear your story and how it was for you. And then, of course, if you have any questions about this and you want to book a reading with me or any of my stuff, that is down below as well. So without further ado, let's move on to the next part. We talk about specifically Jupiter in the 7th house. All right, so we have Jupiter in the 7th house. So this is going to be a very relationally focused person. So something I want to say before I kind of go any further in this video is specifically to those of you that have Jupiter in the 7th house and are either Sagittarius or Pisces risings. The reason I say this is because you are ruled by Jupiter. Your chart ruler is Jupiter. So anytime you have your 1st house ruler in the 7th house, it is not going to be comfortable there. And it also means that 7th house becomes a lot more important to you. So I want to talk to you two first, or those of you that have those rising signs first, because Jupiter becomes so much more important to you. Your meaning, your purpose, the things that you prescribe meaning to become so more important, much more important, and they're always going to be relational. And it's a lot about when the 1st house rules in the 7th, there's a lot of focus around your partnerships, and those partnerships and those people and those friendships become so much more crucial to you. And the meaning you give to them. And so a lot of the time we see this with the 1st and the 7th, like I said, it's always going to be, a difficult placement because of the fact that that planet is uncomfortable in that opposite sign there. But at the same time, it allows you to kind of lose your truth or lose your meaning or lose yourself in that relationship to some degree. And then when it's gone or whatever it may be, or whenever you find your truth again, then you'll really, really sit in it, and you'll really be powerful, and you'll really be able to have that faith and have those sorts of answers and guide people as a Sag or Pisces rising that you are. And there's a lot of power within that, having your chart ruler in the 7th, because it makes the focus around your life related to relational and partnerships and legal things and clients and so many things where you're so focused upon other people and what you can teach them. So it's really powerful. It's really potent. I really love it. But it is important for you to understand the difference between your belief and someone else's belief, because that's something that we see a lot with the 1st and the 7th, as well as the 7th and the 1st. There's this kind of like mix between who am I versus who are they, and you kind of blur the lines quite often with that. So just be aware of that, because there's just going to be some, discrepancies around your beliefs and someone else's belief if you have a Sagittarius or Pisces rising. So just know that. Now, with this placement as well, outside of, Sag and Pisces risings with this one here, Jupiter in the 7th has a lot of lessons around opportunity with people, lots of clients that they can teach, lots of people they can teach, lots of public relations that they can lean into. There's a lot of power here in this placement in a lot of different ways, and a lot of opportunity to connect with others and connect with just people in general, and have a lot of social things to do, lots of things to do, lots of things to say, lots of people that want to say stuff to you, lots of people that want to help support you. You have a lot of support from other people. You have a lot of people that are willing to hear you out, that are willing to support you, that are willing to guide you, that are willing to teach you, that you're willing to teach, right? There's a lot of teaching student energy with this particular placement here, because Jupiter in the seventh loves to kind of teach and learn and study, and it's studying from another person. It's studying from people that are being presented to you, that are coming to you in an oppositional way. So even in any sort of circumstance where it might be oppositional, there might be, you know, a disagreement or a debate, you love those things. And those are where you find a lot of meaning and can take a lot of information out of that, right? Mars in the seventh, a little bit different. They kind of strive to be in debate and be in conflict, because their actual desire is to go through and learn that kind of the power of kind of debating. But Jupiter in the seventh house really just loves the intellectual part of debating. It's not about the winning or the losing. That would be more Martian. But with Jupiter, it's more about the actual content and the learning and the kind of like merging of minds that Jupiter really wants to do there. Now, in addition to that, kind of moving on from that, actually, is Jupiter in a Martian ruled sign, actually, is going to do exactly that. They're going to really want to debate. These are really great debaters, really great philosophical people. Jupiter in Scorpio and in Aries are both going to have this kind of fiery, debative, you know, combative kind of personality or belief system, but it's a lot about them standing up for their beliefs and kind of pioneering that and kind of staying alone, no matter how unpopular that belief may be, or what they're fighting up against. Now, Jupiter in Scorpio, a little bit more of a difficulty here because of the fact that Jupiter in Scorpio just has a lot more lessons around deep empowerment around beliefs. So this one will likely have some indoctrinated partners. There's something around that as well with indoctrination, because Jupiter isn't all positive all the time. It ultimately is. It's going to give you positive feedback and a lot of positive lessons, but Jupiter in certain alignments is gonna teach through misguided truths or fake answers, and that's something Jupiter really wants is to help you find truth. And so, in the sign of Scorpio, it's gonna have you fight for that truth through all the grittiness and the mud and the kind of, you know, false lights and the shadows of other people that they kind of project onto whatever they're preaching, right? Because sometimes people that preach the loudest don't really know that much. It's kind of something that we see with Jupiter and Scorpio. They're kind of finding teachers that are just, they're drawn to them for different reasons, and they're drawn to occult things, but they need to make sure they're using those things they need to teach from an empowered space and not from taking someone's power or taking someone's belief or shoving that down their throat. So that's just something that I think Jupiter and Scorpio in general has to deal with. And in the seventh house, it's a lot about their partners being that for them, and finding the right empowering mentors and empowering teachers. So leaning towards people that may be, you know, philosophical or religious or spiritual, but also have a background in something Martian is going to help either these Jupiter Mars individuals. So thinking about someone who might be, you know, a very powerful, you know, spiritual guru who does a lot of yoga and a lot of meditation, but also is like a bodybuilder, or someone who's a cop, right? I know someone personally who actually is a spiritual teacher, but is also in law enforcement. So it's very Jupiter Scorpio in that. Anywho, Jupiter Mars. Now, Jupiter in Venus signs. So obviously Jupiter in Libra, this video. Jupiter in Taurus, I've already done. So check those videos out if you have those for more details on that. But Jupiter in a Venus ruled sign in a Venus house is going to have a lot of power here. A lot of really beneficial things. But the Jupiter here in a Venus ruled sign is really about really prescribing meaning from your relationships and from those physical things that you have. So not everything that you own has meaning with Jupiter and Taurus. It's about really being able to find the meaning in the little things that you have. And that's also coming from a Jupiter Virgo myself. So there's that part of it there. And then Jupiter in Libra, obviously there's a lot of meaning you can find from relationships. It's about finding the right people and the right mentors in that regard. So there's a lot of layers there too. I'm not going to go into every single one as deep as I would want to, or else this video will be like 3,000 hours. I'm not doing that. But just know that that's part of this Jupiter-Venus story, is about learning how to find the value in your relationships in a lot of ways, and see how those can morally guide you and give you ethics and things to stand on, and foundational beliefs and material things as well. Jupiter and Mercury ruled sign, I kind of already touched on this, but I'll touch on it again. This is where, similar to Jupiter Scorpio, you're going to see some misguided beliefs from others, but in a way that is just confusing. It's not necessarily in a way that is misguided intentionally in an intent to cause harm, but in a way where you just can't quite understand what someone else's belief system is, and you might have to kind of really piece together a lot of different things from other people. And that's the thing about Jupiter in the 7th. It really is teaching your beliefs through other people that are brought to you. And so Jupiter and Mercury ruled sign is going to kind of have and prescribe meaning and belief to every single conversation, every single person, which is great. But it's about finding their own belief, their own faith, their own meaning. And once again, like I said earlier, Jupiter is your chart ruler if this is your particular alignment. And so really look to see what your particular voice is telling you and not everyone else's voice all the time with Jupiter in a mercurial sign, because we can definitely be overwhelmed with Jupiter and Mercury signs, as I myself know. And both those videos I've already made, so check those videos out. Jupiter in Cancer and Jupiter in Leo. So when they're in the luminaries, it's really interesting because this is where we see a lot of the family beliefs coming into play. So Jupiter in Cancer, obviously exalted, and there is a lot of family and specifically maternal kind of belief systems that are kind of brought into the like maternal line has a lot more meaning and answers within it. And then similarly or conversely, the Jupiter and Leo has a lot more of the paternal line that has a lot more answers to it, and a lot more meaning they can prescribe to it, and a lot more culture on that side of things as well. So think about that as well. There is some kind of lessons around specifically relationships that bring out that maternal or that paternal instinct, and about your ability to be seen and heard in a lot of ways. One thing about the thing with Jupiter and Cancer in the 7th, I actually know someone who has this placement, and they have had a lot of people come to their aid. That's something that I'll definitely bring that up. They have a lot of people that have come to their aid and helped them in really positive ways, and they've always kind of had relationships, and they found a lot of meaningful relationships and a lot of people that can teach them stuff. And they've been really, really blessed from a lot of people in that way because Jupiter is exalted in that 7th house. So they have a lot of people that have really strong beliefs around them that are really positive. And then Jupiter and Leo in the 7th, I don't off the top of my head know anyone with that specific alignment, but it is something that I can imagine is really creative and surrounded by creative, artistic people that allow you to see yourself more and allow you to kind of bring out your own inner child and heal that inner child. There's a lot of inner child healing here. Yeah, there's something about children's rights here as well. That's also Saturn and Libra. I'll get to that when we get to Saturn and Libra specifically. But yeah, obviously you have Jupiter, Cancer, Leo. Check out those videos for sure. Jupiter in a Jupiter ruled sign, obviously it's going to do quite well here. It's going to be really, really prominent. The thing about Jupiter and Jupiter ruled sign, you are going to be ruled by Mercury. So this means that you see everybody as Jupiterian anyway. And everyone is someone they can teach you. But this is where, like I said, and I said this throughout a lot of videos, I just haven't gotten to Jupiter's rulership videos yet, meaning that I haven't gotten to Jupiter and Saturn, Jupiter Pisces yet. But what I find really interesting about these placements is when a planet's in its own sign, like you guys think that, so many people online think that that's like amazing and it's prominent and it's so good and it's so positive and it's so impactful, and it is, it's great, it's awesome, but it also really highlights that lesson. It's because that kind of planet is in its own sign, so it knows what it's doing, it knows how to function, so it expands that a lot more. So when we have Jupiter and Jupiter ruled sign, it's going to do a lot. It's going to give you a lot of opportunities. It's going to give you a lot of people that you can learn from, and it can overwhelm you. It definitely can overwhelm you. And it does make your meaning and your faith and your purpose really strong. It's great. It's awesome. But it also means that you really need to lean into that. And typically, I find a lot of people that have domicile placements, a lot of the time, meaning in their own sign that it rules, I typically find that those people have those lessons a lot stronger. So your relationship life and the people you learn from and the meanings you prescribe to your relationships and the faith you have from other people, there's a lot of stuff there. Your marriage partner, huge thing, huge blessing for sure with this particular one, especially if they're foreign. Even if they're not, there's still a lot of benefit there. There can be this kind of like a lot more meaning given to relationships than normal with this, and that's just Jupiter in general in the 7th. But yeah, there's a lot there. They can also, like, weirdly enough, like create something with their partner. That's more prescribed to like Jupiter and Leo, but still Jupiter and Jupiter's sign can really just like enlarge a lot. Like your partner is going to help you a lot. And anyone that you partner with is going to help you a lot. And there could be an overabundance of that. Like I said, there could be an overdoing when Jupiter's in its own sign here. And Jupiter in Saturn sign. So obviously Jupiter is not really happy in Capricorn. It's going to be fallen. And then in Aquarius, it is, not necessarily the best, but it does work here. Jupiter in air just doesn't do quite that well, to be honest. But that's only because Jupiter is a very fiery, it rules like Sagittarius and Pisces, which are a fire and water sign. And that's why the faith is kind of something that comes from our inspiration, what we do, and our actions, as well as our internal kind of emotional sense. So when it's in an air sign or an earth sign, it kind of struggles. And Saturn happens to rule both those. So it is not necessarily the best for Jupiter to be in a Saturn sign. It is something that definitely delays that. But the thing about Jupiter and Saturn, they work together. They really do. They are meant to work hand in hand with one another. And when you have too much Jupiter, Saturn really helps it out, right? Earlier when I had said Jupiter and Jupiter's sign, there's an excess, right? So if someone had Jupiter in Sag, Jupiter in Pisces, I would say, look at your Saturn, to slow down, because you definitely have an overabundance of stuff, overabundance of people, right? But if you have Jupiter in Capricorn in the 7th, or Jupiter in Aquarius in the 7th, they're going to have people they're going to tell them to put their brakes on. They're going to say stop, right? And they're going to have partners that are going to come into their lives, and people that are going to come into their lives and going to test their belief systems, if they're outdated or not, especially Jupiter Capricorn. They're going to have a lot of people that they're going to be teaching to, preaching from, or getting preached to, that are going to have outdated beliefs that they have to kind of innovate and change and kind of get with the times, right? Jupiter and Capricorn, it's really about that. That first Saturn return is really when a lot of their beliefs kind of unfold and unravel, and they realize the beliefs that they had were probably outdated and were really old-fashioned. They need to be changed, and there are some of those that they can hold on to and they should hold on to, but there are others that they shouldn't and they don't need to anymore. And then Jupiter and Aquarius, this is a great, another great social one, but there is an overwhelm here where they're almost joining too many causes, joining too many things. That's something that Jupiter and Aquarius can do. I know someone who has this particular placement, not specifically this house placement, but Jupiter and Aquarius, and in the 6th, actually, which I actually mentioned in the last video. And it's all about like joining the next cause and the next thing and the next trend, and kind of just trying to keep up with the Joneses to a lot of degrees. And that's why Libra and Aquarius can really struggle, because it's trying so hard to really try and work with the past and go towards the future at the same time. And it's kind of this push and pull, and the relationships are going to be really, really intense, but intense in a way that they're so fractured and broken and all over the place. And Jupiter in that 7th is in Aquarius in specific is these are the ones that are going to have, I was saying this a little bit earlier when I had talked about the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that I was kind of, hypothesizing or theorizing existed in Libra. But I don't know off the top of my head if it does. I feel like it did, but not sure. But anywho, with this particular alignment, this is where we'll see someone who's like, I don't believe in that anymore because this is that and this is that. And they're going to kind of preach their beliefs about relationships more. I think that's more of what we'll see with Jupiter and Aquarius over any other Jupiter sign in the 7th. Obviously, Jupiter in any sign can do this, depending upon the alignments, but Jupiter and Aquarius just alone in the 7th can be this one that's like preaching about potentially non-monogamy or ethical non-monogamy or monogamy or polyamory or all these different sorts of things. They can have a lot of different things they want to talk about as it relates to relationships, a lot of things they want to teach people when it relates to relationships, because they're still trying to kind of they're understanding there's a bigger picture as it relates to relationships and love and partnerships and contracts and all those things and causes to kind of partner with. And they're going to have a lot of people that can partner with them to help them with causes, but it's about them making sure that they're not spreading themselves too thin. And that's where Saturn comes in to kind of restrict that. And Jupiter and Aquarius really wants to do a lot of different things for a lot of different people, but it's about how they then allow themselves to, specifically in the 7th, not be swayed by each person that they come across that is a new idea or a new contract or a new partner, right? And kind of allow them to get the bigger picture and see how that fits into who they are. So there's a lot of different lessons there. So that's most of them. That's actually all of them. So yeah, I hope this video helped. Jupiter in the 7th house is a really relationally prominent placement. There's a lot of things you can learn from your partner, a lot of lessons, a lot of legal things with your partner as well, because Jupiter rules law, and it's in the 7th house of law, and partnerships and PR and legal contracts and things like that. So there is a lot of like interesting partnerships here, especially because Jupiter also rules your marriage partner. It's in the 7th house. So it's pretty prominent here. At least Jupiter rules the marriage partner in Vedic astrology, which I don't practice. It's just something that I just picked up along the way because I have Jupiter and Mercury ruled signs, so I'm like all over the place. Yeah, I hope that helps. I hope this really helps. This is quite a video here. Jupiter in the 7th. Jupiter in the 7th. You guys have a lot of lessons. My gosh. Coming from other people, and I am an example of that. I am the 7th house person in this example, so I am bringing out a lot of lessons, a lot of things, a lot of context, and I know I went through all of them here very, very briefly, and if any of you have any questions, put them down below. But I've also done all the videos prior to Jupiter and Libra, so if you have Jupiter in any sign prior to Libra, check out that video down below to kind of get a better context on that. But then, of course, any future videos for Jupiter, if you have Jupiter or anything past Libra, wait for those to come out, as those will be coming out in the next subsequent seasons. So thank you so much for this. This has been super fun. And if you guys want to comment down below, like, share, all those things are going to help me because this is what I do for a living. I love doing this. I love talking about this stuff. And if you guys are interested in how I read and want to get a reading from me, all that stuff's down there below as well. So thank you guys so much. This has been super fun. Thank you for sitting through this, however much this has done for you. And I hope this helped somebody. If it helped one person, that's all I care about. I just love to do this. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you guys soon.